Hello and welcome to yet another video here in the Redrawing Tintin series of panel 33A2. So we are in the comic album Castafiore Emerald, which was released as an album in 1963. And if you have this album with you in your bookshelf somewhere, or if you have a scanned version of this on your computer, you can use it when during this video, because I have another scan here of that exact panel on my left monitor, which is, you can't see it but I can. So in order to help you, it would be great to if you have at least a printed copy of the Castafiore Emerald at your hand. But okay, so let's see, in this part then we are going to try to finish the inking of this panel, and we're going to start with Tintin, and then we'll do the hand down here, and then we have the sweat drops. I think there were 4 sweat drops that he had around there. So but before we start, as usual, I'm doing my just a quick announcement here with my 987 degrees centigrade coming up in a few months. So science fiction, action, thriller, adventure, and this is going to be exciting story, and it's 40 pages, and it's full color, and it's a lot of action and drama, intrigue, and well, there's so much I can't really but there's speed, and there's action, and there's adventure, and there's lots of fun stuff. So you might want to take a look at that. And on the back cover here you see all the 8 projected volumes, all the 8 books in season 1. So this is the overarching title, Unlimited Danger, up here, Unlimited Danger. So that is my project. Okay, let's go back to the inking, and so now we just have to decide, because now we have a decision to be made, and the decision is where how many layers should I do this in, and how should I continue using separate layers for Tintin, and separate layers for Professor Calculus, and separate layer for the hand, and separate layer for the sweat drops? And the answer is maybe. So what I'm talking about is the process of actually producing a final panel. I mean, if we regard this simply as an exercise without any so-called ambitions to produce a real panel to be printed in a comic book, then of course we may do either, because then it's not so critical. But if our intention is to produce a real comic book panel, then we have to be sure to of maximum quality in the production. And when I'm talking about maximum quality, I here mean maximum sharpness, maximum brightness, maximum contrast, or maybe not maximum, but the perfect value that we want. And what I'm thinking about, especially here, is that when we are sketching here and we are refining and all that, we're using many layers, and we're using multiply as a means to view different layers at the same time. But the problem with multiply is that it darkens the image. So for each layer, just as if you were to put if you have your light box and you put one transparent piece of plastic and then another transparent, but then after 5 or 10 of those, you can immediately see that the light shining through, everything is getting gradually darker. So what I'm saying here is that we want to minimize this. So we're going to treat this as if it were like a final production, like the modern equivalent of what Hergé himself was doing. So we are tweaking everything a little bit here and doing it in a slightly different way, but we have to have a standardized way of working, because that was Hergé's sort of his goal of in his studios, to try to find a perfect workflow, a perfect means of producing perfect results. So we have to be so-called serious when we're doing this. Okay, so what I'm saying then is that what we want is a minimum amount of layers for the final production. So I mean, at this stage we don't care about the blue layers or the red layers or all these different layers we have below. For the final production we only care about what's inked. So the inking process is the sort of critical, and then of course the coloring also, but the inking. So what I am doing in my own production, I have developed a certain workflow, and that is that for the frame I have that in one layer. Okay, so that's perfectly fine, and that layer is on top of everything else, and it has like a transparent it's like a cutout. I'm cutting out everything inside the frame there. So that doesn't minimize the sort of brightness. That doesn't change that. Similarly with the balloon. The balloon is also like a cutout, where everything outside the balloon is cut out to shine through. So now of course we have a special case here where his face is going, his forehead is going right into the balloon, but we can fix that. We're tweaking that in a particular way, so that won't be an issue either. So then what we have left is the rest of the characters themselves and the effects, and also the sweat drops here and the hand here. So these I will be inking basically on one layer. But now, so far, I have actually inked these anger lines on a special layer, and Professor Calculus on another layer. So actually we already have 2 layers. But that's alright, because we can we can cut these out here to the left, and we can just paste them directly on the calculus sketch. So we could solve that without using multiply mode, and that would so we will do that later on. And now then we will just make a copy of the calculus and call that calculus and Tintin or something. Let's see now where we are. Calculus Inc. We have him here. That's the one. Angle lines part 14. Okay, so then let's do this. We create a new folder here. We call this total line art or something. Total line art. Let's make it all line art. All inked line art. All inked. Part 15. Okay. And then I'll make a copy of calculus. So we're sort of continuing on calculus here. And okay. And what I'm doing now is that first of all, I will be going down in opacity here a little. I'm going down to 20 or something on the angle lines. And then I'm going to okay, let me do this the other way. Let's do that 100% first. And then I'm cutting these out and making sure that there's white all around it. Copy, paste. Those two there, up there, and here I have to use the lasso to get just the white. So we can say here I could have done this on the same sheet, of course, but the idea is that if we have them separate, we can sort of move them separately to fine adjust, which we also did in the when we were on the blue layer and the red layers. So there's a time and place for everything. Okay, now we'll do these two here. So basically I will end up with 4 pasted layers up on top of the other one here, which I will just check so that we haven't moved them. Sometimes Photoshop has this idea that it moves the pasted. Even though we have the selection made, it still moves the pasted result a pixel or two. So you really have to be careful about that. Okay, so now we have pasted those guys. Okay, so we have 4 layers on top there, and so let's keep that to 100%, and then we take these layers let's say 50%, if we can see that. Did we do anything? Okay, and now let's try to move it to see if it's in the same position. Let's go up here, and so easier we can see if it matches. If I go down 3 pixels here, let's put it up to 700 there. We can. So I move shift down key here and shift up key, and I do 3 down, 3 up, shift down and arrow down and arrow up, arrow down, arrow up. Looks identical. So this one is okay. And then we have layer 27 here. Shift, arrow down, arrow up, of course. Now we have to reinstate 100% on the old one. And here we have to go down to 50% opacity. And now shift down, arrow, up, down, up, down, up, down. It looks identical position there. So we reinstate the 100% there, layer 27, we go to 28, which is on the top here of beside there it should be, and we do 50% opacity, shift, arrow down, arrow up, arrow down, arrow up, arrow down, arrow up. Looks good. And we reinstate 100% opacity. We go down to layer 29, and we see here once again we do 50% opacity and shift, arrow down, arrow up, arrow down, arrow up, arrow down. Looks like both of them are in the same position. So I'm reinstating 100% opacity, and I now know that all of these 4 are in the exact right position as compared with our totally separate layer down here, angle lines merged. So this old one down here, which I'm going solo here, you also see there's some so I wonder if that is ink. So we have to look at calculus here. If there's something I have painted, I've painted on the wrong layer there. So this was not just a sort of fluke, but it was a so the question is, what are we going to do with that? Okay, so let's fix that also while we're at it. So what we can do now is we can merge all of these here. Okay, so it's normal, mode is normal, and all of these should be normal, and I'm merging these as a new copy here. And I'm now calling it all. all inked here on one layer, like that, without specifying. So all lines in the so it's important here is I'm not counting the balloon or the balloon tail as line art here in this sense. The balloon and the balloon tail are sort of added on top. So the line art lies under it, and so does all the colors. So the line art refers to all the characters and all the scene, the shot itself. If we are thinking like a photograph like that, so that's the line art. Everything in the photograph is the line art, and then you place a balloon on top of that. So whether you have a black and white photograph or you have a color photograph, you still place the balloon over it. So that's the sort of that's the coloring. So we're going to treat the balloon as well as a frame. The frame is also different from the photograph, if we use this analogy here. All right, so we are on our way. We have come to, but now, okay, so then we just have to, I'm making a new layer, and we are fixing calculus details. And which details are that? Well, it's these details that are down here. Now, of course, we can temporarily make this multiply, so we see Tintin there also, just to, because ultimately, of course, we have to have multiply here when we are adding the color, otherwise we won't get the color and the line art visible together. So we want both. We want both the colors and the line art on top of it. Right, so okay, so we have all inked and we are fixing the details, but which details is it? Okay, so we are fixing something up here. So let's start doing that. So let's remove the bottom there. There's something we fixed there. Okay. So it's here. So we're going to smooth. So I'm using a 2-pixel brush at 75%, retouching it a little bit there. And then what else was it? Oh yeah, and then we're fixing down here, at the very end here, we're extending the line out to the end there. And what else? It says a white space here in the tie, and maybe even here. So we're blackening out that also. So I think that basically, but it seems that I made this a little darker here. Doing a little bit more there. So. Alright, so I think that's enough. Alright, so now we can fold in all these here. We don't need all these old layers here. So these are history at this point. Oh, Tintin there. Oh, we should keep him now. Okay, so while we are at calculus and while we're talking about the balloon, let's look at that to see what we're going to do. I said previously that that we're going to use the balloon so that we are having all this area here transparent. But in order to do that, we really have to have connected lines here. So I have to connect this line somehow. And the ordinary way to connect it is as we always are in our own Unlimited Danger series. We never let faces go into the balloons, so this problem never occurs to us. So how should we solve this? We should solve this by duplicating, or almost duplicating, the line that goes over, so the face or the head that goes into the balloon. We still should put the balloon above, but we should use the line that that Professor Calculus has. And that is very simply done, because now we have sort of placed Calculus once and for all in the exact position where he's going to be. So there is, we already have that line. So the line is here. So what we do is simply we copy it. So I'm going to use this exact line, and I'm okay. So what I'm doing here also is I'm going down to 50% on the balloon, so we easily can see. Let's go down to 20. So we easily can see what is Professor Calculus's line and what is the balloon line. So here I can see then that I want to take I basically want to, let's see, how should we do this? Okay, so we want to go from here. We may have to I think this is what we want, hopefully. Or if I whoops, okay, have to undo that. Or maybe we have to go down there. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, we have to actually, we have to extend. So I'm using shift now. So let's say we are going to use, we go down to the intersection, and the lower intersection here. There. And there we copy. That's the most interesting point, I think. So let's try that out. So I'm copying this now. and I'm no, I have to do copying again because I had the wrong layer selected. So I'm copying from the calculus head here, control copy there, and then I'm pasting above the balloon there. And now I am hiding calculus, and I'm showing calculus, and the line doesn't go where I thought it would go because I didn't see it clearly. Okay, no, okay, we have to multiply it. Okay, there we go. So there you get that shape. And now when we are here, of course, we have to also reinstate 100% there. And now this is the pasted one, and then let's just retouched top of head, or we have to always the object first, top of head, retouched, right, and this is top of head, of course, top of head here without any. Okay, so let's retouch this. I'm going back to X, going back to the white, and let's do like that, something. It's just a matter of being able to, and then of course we we can actually minimize we can make it a little smaller on the inside here, so we interfere as little as possible with the head. But they should actually fit perfectly anyway. But all right, so then when we place this shape above calculus, then it should look like it should look nice. So if I do that, and then we have a little, there's a little right, so a little anti-aliasing there between the points. But I think that's, so if we go down, scale, it should work. And this enables us to do all that coloring and all that, to keep everything in one layer and like that, as far as the balloon goes. So that's this, and actually what we could do to prevent even that anti-aliasing is we are going to, since the balloon is white, well, I think that will work. Let's make a copy here. Let's do retouched 2. just to try to optimize this idea here. So we are there and we have that. So let's, I hope I'm not totally off here, but let's also do the, let's go in also here at the top to minimize any risk for that the anti-aliasing is being invoked. Because in terms of contour and in terms of like that, doesn't matter if this is 5 pixels or 7 pixels or 9 pixels thick. So now I think we're sort of, yes, now there is no interference. So I think that becomes that's very good. Okay, very good. So we fixed that, and now back to so we have that balloon inked, but where is that line now? All inked is there. Balloon inked is there. Top of head 2. There they are. Okay, so these two we want to merge now into a new copy. So this is balloon with top of head. So that's where we ended, or it should have ended. Okay, very good, very good. And now when we are here, we will also do this now. Balloon erased outside one. So now so if you're looking at the balloon as a whole here, I'm now, if we only look at that, I'm going solo on that now, Alt, clicking on the visibility icon here, and I'm now doing my magic eraser. I'm just clicking outside somewhere on the balloon, and then we have this special balloon here where we have a head inserted. We have space. It's not, the head is not there, but there's an outline there for the head. And now we can go back to the head, which comes in there with all the line art, and then we can add the frame. I wonder which frame we use now. Frame this, and frame that, and frame. Right, so we did some adjustment to the top in the previous video, the video before that. So this one is the one we have, but that is, as you see, multiply now. So we will not multiply it anymore. We go back to well, we can copy it before, duplicate it, and we'll say erased inside. And we will go back to normal, and we just view everything here, and once again we use the magic marker, and now everything will shine through the panel. Of course, here when we don't really want to do that just yet. Why? Because we want to be able to ink a little outside the panel. So it's not a good idea to already do this, but we can still do multiply on the frame. That should fix that. If we have, it depends on how we have inked. I think we can see on the, let's do calculus R3 for instance here. So here I didn't go so far out as I did in the blue here, but you can see here that if I have, so if I go back to normal on the frame, you see the blue lines disappear around here. So I can have sort of, if I go solo on the frame, you can see that everything looks like very nice and very tidy and like that. So we have everything as we want it for the final production. It's just that in order to facilitate the inking, we can temporarily switch in multiply here, and then you sort of, we see the, so I'm having it on multiply from now on, just so that we can extend our lines if we want to. So I think that's actually how it, I should have done this before, but still we're doing it now, so it's okay. So I will take away the blue lines there for now, and we have fixed calculus details, and we are on our way to Tintin now. So now I am starting Tintin, and to do that, of course, I have to have the Tintin, the latest Tintin version in the blue, which comes here, and then I have to go up to 400% as I usually do, and then on the left here I also have to go up to 400% so we can see the original in all its glory. And I have to also be on the right layer, and we are on the right layer. And then when I select the brush by B, I also want to confirm that we use a opacity of 75%. And we usually use a brush of 4 pixels. So, okay, good. We are set to go, and we do an X to get back to black. Actually, we do a reset by pressing D key to reset the black on top, black and white. It's sort of like you go back to the default. That's how I think of it. Default. And let's start inking. Let's take the hair first. So I'm doing these smaller strokes because I think that works best at this particular magnification. And I see that the stroke is somewhat, it's a little thicker right here where I am right now, like that. And then perhaps this stroke here is a little shorter than the blue line here. And possibly a little thinner as well. So I'm going down to 3 here for the other line here. And then I'm shaving off a little here on the other one. There's a slight bend to it also, as usual. Now this is natural, of course, that there's always an angle. And the blue line seems to work pretty well here, pretty good. This angle here is a little difficult. I have to, as you see, I don't have any rotate canvas in this old Photoshop version. And even if I had, it wouldn't make me any good, because then I would have to rotate the Tintin picture also, and that would be too elaborate. Sort of have to. So I'm just appreciating Photoshop for this old Creative Suite version for what it is, and just as it has so many benefits and has so many features that it's just an amazing tool. And if we really want to use, like, if we really want to use rotate canvas, we can use tools like Krita, for instance, which has rotate canvas. Or you can use Clip Studio Paint, which works well as well. So, and I think even Affinity Paint also has it. I'm not so expert at that, but I think it has it. Although I think Clip Studio Paint is the best drawing experience. And certainly if you are using Photoshop a lot, then I think Clip Studio Paint and Krita are good co-workers or co-tools. So let's make this go this round. We go round and round, and then when we remove the blue ink later on, we can we can re-evaluate whether or not this black ink looks good. Actually, in the last video I was talking something about whitener and Hergé, if he actually used any whitener, or like if he made mistakes on the real, on his paper, and how did he cope with that. And so then I saw a, just prior to this video, I saw an interesting reportage, a story in one of the Le Parisien, I think it was, some newspaper or magazine, that talked about a work of art that was some kind of they were selling that the work of art had some blood stains from Hergé, because he had been, according to the story, then he was using this tool, this mechanical tool, where you have I think it's called a compass. So in the olden days you were drawing circles, so you had like a one of these compasses, not the one that you go to the South Pole and North Pole, not one of those, but a drawing compass. I think it's called like that. So it has a one edge which is extremely sharp, which you put down in the middle where you want your circle to have its center, and then you have another part of it's like a pen, two pens that are aligned, and one pen is having a this very like needle kind of thing, and then the other pen is actually a pen which you sort of go round the circle. So yeah, so he had this circle, and he made a I guess some kind of mistake, and then he started bleeding and then but then unfortunately he had the original panels lying on the on his desk or wherever he was, so they got blood stains on it, and that was like a couple of panels from L'Étoile Mystérieuse, the mysterious star. I don't know if that is the title in English, but the mysterious, yeah, probably has to be that title. But anyway, so on those panels there with Hergé's blood on it, there was corrections made, which was very interesting to see that and those corrections typically, I read somewhere else, were made with white gouache. So it wasn't one of those modern like pens or something, but I think it was actually brushed on, like with a, just as you would paint with gouache, you would correct with gouache. So that was an interesting page to see. So maybe I even could put a link to that in the description. You can see yourself. And then I found some other website with another correction made, and that was the first, I think it was the original panel from Tintin in Soviet, in black and white. And also, of course, the artwork in the other one, in the Mysterious Star, that was also black and white. That's just how they work. You always prepare the line art first, always the black and white, and then if you're going to do a color version, then you have to produce that separately. Okay, so this is going right. So so then on that other Tintin in Soviet I found, which I think you can also maybe look at if you want, then there was a correction again, looking like gouache, made on the contour of Tintin's outline. So it was something like if the corresponding, it was Tintin but in another position, of course, but it was something like that. So all along here there was some white here. So white. So it looked like he was initially having Tintin's outline. I think actually it was the back of the head here or something like that, which he like here he usually has a thicker line here, as he has in this. So this is a good example of that this line here should be a little thicker, and it's thicker here than here. Now the funny thing with that, so I think that there was some circumstance there where it seems like he was making a mistake, or he sort of changed his mind, that he started off with a thicker back of his head and then said no, that's probably not a good idea in this situation. Or maybe just for like aesthetic reasons. Maybe there wasn't a thought behind it, just looked good in that particular angle or whatever it was. Good, so now we are done a little here, and so I thought we could make Tintin's face, the last sort of, we do all these less critical things first, and then of course the hand will come here, so it will we'll have to adjust this later on. And this here should be much thicker here. I don't understand how we could miss that, but must have erased it by mistake or something. Clumsily. Very clumsy. But we are well aware that we are not perfect. So this line there, maybe even it has to go a little up here. Maybe it has to go a little up here actually. So in the original, yeah, but then we have the, no, I think we will keep it as I outlined it previously. Like that, and maybe it should go we will see. We will try our best. It has to be more pointed here. Point it down there. And this is also a slight angle shift there, so count that in there. But I think in general we're doing extremely well here in terms of reconstructing this panel. I think it's actually I think it goes better than expected actually. So from my point of view, it's a great success. I thought it would be even harder than it has been. And then this line here has to be thinner in the beginning there, and then it comes set there. Okay, and that's the one there, and we are going to finish off his shoulder line here. So in many senses the real genius of Tintin lies in the line art, in the line work. I think it's not just of course there's this whole aspect of story also. I mean, to be able to do that kind of comedian versus mystery drama stuff. I mean, that's a great thing. So and it is the sort of, how should we say this? It's the combination, the unique combination there of intrigue and drama and fun and sort of like a comedy kind of touch to but still exciting and still. I mean, I think that's it's unique. And I'm not even French or Belgian. I mean, it's not. So I don't say that for I'm not a nationalist or like I'm just amazed by his capability of getting it all done. But then of course we also have to think like this, that there are different versions of this. So as I said last time, or the video before that, that for instance in the Black Island, I think it's called that, L'Île Noire, I think, yeah. So in that book, as I said, the English publisher didn't accept it as it was when it was first to be released, because he thought that there were too many things about England that wasn't good enough. So then Auger, in his editorial capacity, sort of decided that without questioning, he sort of took upon himself to change those things that were. And I think it's this capability that we sort of have, this to do something great. I think we just have to step out of ourselves a little bit, and we have to sort of look at the art in a another perspective, from another person's point of view, that we are not attached to it in that sense, but that we actually are. We want the best from the story, so that we don't make any like personal offenses, kind of thing. Like we don't get offended, or maybe we do. I don't know about him, but I think it's wise that we sort of, that you can make one version of a strip, and then someone tells you that, well, this doesn't work. Okay, then we just rethink it, and we change the details somewhere. We change the panel here and there. Like it's no big deal. It's the story is great. Anyway, it's just perhaps some backgrounds that need to be changed in terms of color, in terms of shapes, in terms of lines. I don't know. I mean, but this willingness, I think that's the whole thing, that we sort of we think like that we are willing to change it if the circumstances dictate that. So I think that's and that means that even if no one else looks at your stuff, that we still should have this ability to change. And I think that it's this constant molding, it's this putting it on the shelf and then looking at it 3 weeks later, and that sort of makes it mature and ready for the world. I mean, if here on YouTube we see so many people who are sort of, they keep talking about deadlines. They keep talking about X number of pages per week or per day or per month, or like they keep like, but it's all about the story. It's all about the complete package. And a complete package is not made over a night or on a deadline, I would say, or at least because the thing is that maybe you are different, but I'm just like this, that if I have a deadline, then things are not as enjoyable as they would be without one. Of course, there are purposes, and there are things with deadlines that are good, but I think this whole thing, you have to have establish a relationship to your characters, and you have to sort of. And I think that Hergé had there was some kind of some kind of pride to always deliver the utmost quality, and some kind of. And I'm not saying this in a bad sense. It's I think this is what perhaps what many people are lacking today. That it's about the art itself. It's not about whether it sells in 5 million copies or not. It's about that it should look good, and the story should be good, and like that. And by good I mean perfect, and I mean super good, not just any ordinary comic. This is an extraordinary comic in my view. Okay, so now we are done with the first approximation here with Tintin. Let's unblue him here, and I'm going to look at the original more now and take another stab at it. Okay, so we see here. Okay, so what I see here on this one is that we need more ink here on the left. It's a little thicker outline here. So we'll do that. Maybe even one more there. But now this is not so nice here, so we have to round it up there a little. Okay, I think that's better. And then overall here, this outline must also be thicker, and the thickest point is somewhere here. Yeah, so one point that I don't remember if I actually came that far, but the point I was going to make about Hergé was that he made different versions of the same story, and each time he made adjustments. Just like when he is working as he describes himself in his anniversary book, that there are many, I mean, all along the way to the inking process, there are situations where he refines each panel. So assuming that he knows what his panel content should be approximately, then there's a lot of work actually placing those characters in the panel to get the optimum size and the optimum position and the optimum angle and the optimum everything. So it seems that he is doing this many times over already in the like in one edition, but then some albums he redid them several times. So in each of those steps there is a revision phase and all that. So I think what I'm saying is that one has to be interested in perfecting the panel, even if it has been published. So it's this. So that's what I'm. I mean, if one is, I mean, you could be a comic book creator and you could draw things just once and quickly and go to the next project, and you could be happy doing that. And if you are happy doing that, you should do that. So it's nothing. But it's one thing to be happy, and another thing to deliver extraordinary results in other people's eyes. So I mean, maybe we could be happy by just using one green pen and drawing 5 lines on a paper, and I mean, you could be happy in so many ways. So if it's a happiness project only for you, then maybe editing is not your thing. So I mean, we all have different standards, and we all have different stylistic senses, and we all have. So everyone has to sort of do what they feel like doing. Which of course is good. Oh, let's see his nose here. Okay, so there's a. This I think should go a little more there. So this nose is tricky, and it has to be actually more here. More black on this side here also, up there. And this right eye should be bigger. And closer to the. And maybe the nose should be bigger as well. Oh, let's see. or not. So this was one of my mistakes. I went down to 300%, but I still had the original at 400%. And so, which was, I changed the eye here, which I shouldn't have done. It was the right size before. So we have to watch out, not talk too much. But then again, yeah, so what we were talking about before here, that so we have to be happy with what we're doing. Which is the most important thing, I think. And it's only when we are happy with what we're doing that we can become any good at what we're doing. Because there's not enough motivation in the world to do something that you don't like doing. So it's sort of like in other words, you shouldn't actually need to have motivation to do the work, because you like it so much, so there's no need to mobilize any motivation. It's, you just naturally go there anyway. So I think, okay, good, so now we're starting to get somewhere. Maybe this nose here should go in there a little bit. And then it should be more, a little more tip there. Right, and then we have too much white down here and too little black, so we have to fill this in. There should be a thicker line there on all three sides there, like that. Yep. And then this line here seems to go. There seems to be more black inside here a little, and definitely more black here. And then it doesn't end like that in a sharp, it's more roundish, this end here. Like that. Okay, and then the ear, perhaps we are going to take a look at. The ear looks pretty good overall. But it should be a little thicker down here. Okay, and this thingy here should be a little blacker, as well as this thingy here. Not sure how this, there's some elliptical structure there, okay, but maybe the outside there should be more even there, okay. And this angle should also be a little less. Well, something like that. And here we are this is much too edgy here. We have to somehow or other transform this into a more soft line, but the softness is it's also inside here. So it's usually some kind of elliptical construction here. Goes and it's lying down more here. Perhaps that's just it's lying against his head, so to speak, so it's sort of, so this sort of comes at this angle more. Maybe that's the trick. I think that's better. And then thicker, slightly thicker there, so better. All right. And then let's go down and see his shirt also too. Maybe we should polish his mouth here so it right, good. And let's scroll down on the original here to or maybe we should wait with this. Let's maybe we can take the left. Let's do the left part here only in terms of checking, so that we can, and then we can wait with the right hand side there when we add the hand. Okay, so we have the idea that we should do the hand now, but I'm looking at the timing here of this video and I see we already have 90 minutes, so I think we'll actually do this the last of Tintin here in this video now, a few minutes more, and then we'll take the hand and the sweat drops in the next video, and then we'll, in that next video, we'll also do like a summing up of all the line art and and checking that everything works nicely together. So let's take his left shoulder to see if that works there. I think we can make this a little smoother here, perhaps. There is better. Using the white here to get it more. This looks a little. I think that's a smoother line there. Okay, good. And then we have the shirt sticking out there, and we have that fold there, and then we have the this distance here is a little too big. Compared to, so actually maybe this shirt here should be coming here instead. This line here actually comes to the left of this line. So maybe this should be here instead, and then go up there. So let's move that for now. Maybe we can. Maybe it doesn't fit with the hand, then we can redo it, but well, I'm just going by position here now, so on the original artwork. But this folds in a very the angle here, because it has to come back to the shirt over here to the very right, so it goes something like that. But this distance here, it sort of goes up there more. And on the original, this line here actually isn't perfectly aligned with this one. It ends a little higher up here than it should be, or than what I think it should be. I should say like that instead. So if we are just recreating the original, then we can leave this something like, I think the thumb must come here somewhere. Certainly not perfect. I'm not as good as Auger when it comes to drawing, so I'm alright. So that's the left part of Tintin's clothes there, and then we have the right part, and that looks pretty good, unless this, well, we should have this one has a straight corner there, but not as much white, and it doesn't go as far in either. So there should be an angle here in there. Okay, that's better. Even less white, I think. And let's bring that down one step there. And the angle should be different here in that stroke as well, so we have two angles to cope with. Okay, I think that's better, more to the original. And then we have this last stroke here going down, which I think should go little to the right here and then down. And the angle little different. Maybe even more different. Maybe even it should be, maybe it should end a little to the right there. Something like that. And then we should have our hand here somewhere. And we also note here that the angle where of this shoulder here doesn't really connect immediately. It's not a straight line to the collar up here. It goes beside it somewhere, like that, comes like that somewhere. So okay, good. All inked. Okay, with Tintin, we can say here. With Tintin. And I think that's basically it. Then we only have my usual ending point here, 987 degrees centigrade is coming up, and science fiction, action, thriller, unlimited danger, season 1. Hope you have had a good time, and hope to see you in the next one, where we will finish off all the inking with the hand and the sweat drops, and then we will do a some fixing up, some accounting of all the layers and all that, and prepare everything to be colored. next time. Okay? See you in the next video.